Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Uri Burstyn, and I'm making this video today to try to help the people of Ukraine. All of you are aware right now of the horrible war of aggression that Russia is waging on the territory of Ukraine. But you might wonder why some random veterinarian from Canada should have an opinion on this, and why you should listen to him. Well, as many of you know, I was actually born in Kiev. Those of you who've joined me on my live Q&A sessions know that I take great joy in interacting with my fans from Russia, from Ukraine, all over Eastern Europe. I was born in Kiev back when it was still a part of the USSR. I just want to share with you guys a short story that illustrates the absurdity of this war and some of the claims used to justify it. When I was growing up in Kiev, I learned to speak and read and write both Russian and Ukrainian. But it wasn't until I went to school that I realized that there were different languages. I was really puzzled at first why there was Russian class and Ukrainian class, and it took me several weeks to grok the fact that there were actually different languages and that there wasn't just two different ways of saying and writing many things. Because in my environment, both of the languages were spoken naturally and existed together. And I think this illustrates the experience of many Ukrainian people. Divisions along language and cultural barriers in Ukraine are absurd and artificially created to drive wedges between people who really should be united. Я все-таки русскоговорящий человек, и я понимаю жизнь и на Украине, и в России. I have nothing but compassion and kind thoughts for the people of Russia. I understand what a difficult position you're in. You live in a totalitarian dictatorship run by a group of mafia thugs. You have very little access to democratic instruments, and you protest against them at great risk to your life and liberty. I understand that there's not a lot that the average Russian person can do to resist the aggression that was instigated by Putin and his tiny inner circle. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been asking myself, what can I, as a Canadian, do to help Ukrainians in a struggle for their life and for their freedom? Of course, from this far away, sending money to legitimate charities is probably the most effective thing that I can do to help support the Ukrainian people. What I'm doing is I'm going to be donating $5,000 of my own money towards several charities that support the people of Ukraine that I will mention in just a moment. And I would like to challenge all of you to match or exceed my donations. So with that in mind, I'm creating a GoFundMe campaign that will run for 7 days after the publication of this video. And once it is done, I'm going to take all the funds raised through the GoFundMe campaign, plus $5,000 of my own money, and I will distribute it between the charities that I'm about to mention. There are 3 charities that I would like to distribute the money that is raised between. The first one, and I think quite an obvious choice, is UNICEF, a well-established charity and arm of the United Nations that has been operating in eastern Ukraine for over 8 years. And they have a focus on helping children, new mothers, and their families with everything that's required to deliver a child into the world and take care of him once he's here. A great charity. I used to gather money for them when I was trick-or-treating as a little kid. So I think we're going to continue that tradition and donate some of the funds raised to UNICEF. The second charity I would like to promote is called Operation Sunflower. This is quite different. This is actually organized by local people of Ukraine on the ground, and it is an attempt to meet the needs of delivering food and non-lethal combat aid, which basically means body armor and medical supplies, to the people actively resisting the Russian invasion. So Operation Sunflower is a direct effort, and the money donated to it goes directly to the people on the front lines trying to deal with this horrible situation. The third charity that I would like to assist is called People in Need, and their work focuses on sending trainloads of food into Ukraine, specifically focusing on occupied areas and areas in the front lines. They're sending trainloads of food in, and I think that's probably some of the most important aid that can be given to people. Starvation and famine is obviously a grim and terrible thing that all of them are facing, and I think that this is very much a worthwhile cause. Links to all of these charities will be placed in the comments below. So if you'd like to donate them directly rather than going through the GoFundMe campaign, please do so. I think it's a great choice as well. I think the GoFundMe might make it a little bit easier to organize things, but if you want to directly donate to any one of these charities, or if you want to support one of them but not the other, then just follow the links in the description below and give whatever you can. Now finally, as an additional thing that I can't post on GoFundMe, but I will be donating my money to personally, is the Armed Forces of Ukraine. I'm going to share a link below for their official website that does have a donation button, and this donation goes to directly support the men and women fighting Russian aggression on the ground in Ukraine. And I think that all of us know that the suffering of the Ukrainian people and this terrible conflict will not be resolved with humanitarian aid alone. Ukraine has to win this war. Ukraine has to resist Russian aggression, because if they fall, then Europe is next. It is an obvious and terrible truth that the future of Europe is currently being decided in Ukraine, and we need to give them all the support that we can. So, thank you very much for watching this video. Please give whatever you can. And, of course, Slava Ukraini!